What's good, family? Your boy FONZi Neutron representing for BAMBAATAA.com. Join with Los Angeles, kicking it back that experience. What's good with you, man?
Oh man, wig on pig and capes on apes. As usual. Hope everybody's good. Top of the evening to everybody.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So we got a few different hip hop topics for discussion. Definitely shouts out to everybody around the world. Let us know where you're tapping in from in the comments, and any thoughts, obviously, drop them also, or we'll try and get back to them. So, a lot been going on in hip hop as usual. There's been a topic that's been quite controversial in one aspect where, I know we've definitely spoken on it before and it's come up in different kind of ways, which has been, one of the hip hop forefathers in Africa, BAMBAATAA. Now, Fat Joe recently had some commentary to say on the situation, which we can check out some of that and then give our thoughts on it. So let's hear some of this and what Joe had to say.
What I was talking about was there's three founding fathers. This is crazy because on Twitter, there's a white guy. He's a fake hip. He's in a culture vulture. He's against the culture, like he's a visitor. And I'm the nigga with the fucking knowledge. I'm the guy talking the real shit. Okay? But Twitter's crazy, right? And I talk about the shit nobody gonna talk about. There's three founding fathers. Grandmaster Flash, Kool Herc, and AFRIKA BAMBAATAA. The Universal Zulu nation. Now, AFRIKA BAMBAATAA has shit like Soul Sonic Force. There would not be no Luke from Miami or no bass music or booty music if it wasn't for everybody sampling Soul Sonic Force, AFRIKA BAMBAATAA. Okay? Since I met the man, he was always stand up, always a nice guy. I'm not copping out. He was always about inclusion. He was always about, if you Asian and you love hip hop, if you white and you love hip hop, if you black and you like, is inclusion. They would have these Zulu Nation anniversaries. This is where my brother would go, bring the cassette about hip hop. Now, because we don't like these people, we have different things about them, we cannot exclude the history of hip hop music. We cannot change it to our likings.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pause that there. We can pick back up on some of that, but as you hear there, Fat Joe speaking on some of the early beginnings of hip hop with AFRIKA BAMBAATAA's contributions. We're obviously looking at the 50 years of hip hop and celebrating a lot of people in the culture. And some people feel as though BAMBAATAA should be cancelled due to allegations of sexual misconduct with minors and stuff. So hearing some of that from what Joe said, obviously he sounds quite passionate in what he's saying about how he feels about hip hop and even his own perception that he gets from others. I mean, what say you? I mean, what do you take from this so far?
It's a funny situation because of the fact of, you're not just talking about a regular person. This is like one of the forefathers of this thing that we love so much called hip hop. But, I feel funny about it. I feel funny about it because my true feelings, of course, I'm gonna gravitate towards somebody that that's not into that, being a pedophile and all that. What's crazy about it is it's spoke upon, but don't nobody have any real fucking valid, solid evidence. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like they throwing a black eye in the game, basically. You know what I'm saying? And the only person I've ever heard speak up on it was Hassan Campbell. And I seen something today of one guy saying some way out. He was saying something way out about African Bambaataa. It just seems like it's a trend to get likes and the malarkey of it. You know what kind of make you kind of believe Hassan Campbell a little bit is the fact of a person is not going to come out to the whole world and put out that another man did what they did to him. You know what I'm saying? And expose itself. But at the same token, it's just like, you know, what's making it not what's making it funny too is that Bambaataa's not addressing it, and he's really not saying anything about it. You know, I think they're looking at it like it's such malarkey that why rebuttal to it. But if you didn't do something, I would think that you would go out your way to clear your name. You know, I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's real
Yeah,
weird.
I mean, you know, I mean, we checked it out before. We seen that there was actually a statement released from the Zulu Nation in a sense, either dismissing and condemning him, you know, for some actions. They didn't, you know, they weren't specific to any allegations and specifics, and we do know, obviously, we live in times now where you know there's a lot of you know, Me Too stuff where somebody might experience something and then there's others that may come out and say Me Too. And you know, ultimately that doesn't always mean that you know, they're telling the truth, and not to discount them, but you know, sometimes we know in the Me Too, it's like somebody else can kind of jump on it and kind of add their sense on it and ride the wave, so to speak. But you know, as you said, sometimes there's like, is there that much smoke without fire? It could be one way of looking at it, or you know, people might say, as you said, it's like a black eye, or it's you know, maybe stained the image of one of hip hop's progenitors. But like Fat Joe saying, should that really count against him in one aspect in terms of being heralded for his I guess works or accomplishments with the culture? Now I'm not gonna sit here and complain, not complain, but compare like crimes and stuff, because you know, in one aspect you've got a lot of people who say, you know, completely different crime and completely different circumstance and completely different narrative. But I'm just gonna use it because they're both in the entertainment field, where some have said like R. Kelly was arrested for, you know, doing some stuff and he was actually sent to jail. But you hear a lot of his fans and people say they're not interested in canceling him, or you know, canceling his music or his accomplishments and stuff like that should still be recognized. But I
Sure
think in
should.
the case with Africa Bambaataa, you get people will probably say, well, he should be cancelled or he shouldn't be recognized. But you know, like I said, I don't want to make a comparison too much because in
If
the
they have
crimes, I
proof,
think when people
if
for
they have
kids and
proof,
stuff,
then
they have
yes.
more.
If they have proof, yes, he should. They if they have proof, yes, they should be canceled. You feel me? Yes, they should be canceled. You know, but I also feel like um there's no solid evidence. That's the part of it. There's no solid evidence. And if I was Hassan Campbell, I would be going about it in a different way. I would be like trying to get get have a sit down with that man. If this is what you say he did, you know what I'm saying? And if Bambaataa didn't do it, I would definitely have a sit down and be like and confront it head on instead of dodging it and not saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? It'll make you look a certain way by not saying nothing. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I think
Hassan
I'd
Campbell,
love to see them have a sit.
instead of going out there and try to blast Bambaataa's name and you know saying all this weird shit that he's saying, why not try to get that man in the room and confront it head on and ask him, you know what I'm saying? Instead of causing fires, go right to it. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like WWF, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think a sit down with the two of them would be, you know, interesting because that Hassan. I haven't watched too much of his stuff. I've seen obviously, a lot of the general stuff on YouTube is, the occasional stuff that kind of goes, crazy viral or whatever. But I believe I could be wrong. Like I know he's, spoken about what allegedly happened with between him and Africa Bambaataa, but I believe he's also spoke about him in like a positive light and stuff. Also, it's not like you hear him on there like, completely trashing him, like, like F this guy, like he got a campaign against him, like, kind of like Raz B was when he was calling out Chris Stokes. He doesn't really seem like that. He kind of seemed like
See what I'm
he
saying?
talks
But
about
you
something
see what
what
you just
allegedly
said?
happened, but he seemed like he got a lot of respect for
You see what Raz B wasn't playing though. He went and,
it.
and confronted it head on. You feel me? To where he got Chris Stokes on the phone. Bambaataa not doing that. If somebody accused me of something, I know I didn't do it. I'm going to do
Yep.
anything that I can to clear my name because of the fact of who I am. This is not like a Joe Schmo or just a run of the mill type of person. It's like one of the fathers of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Kool Herc and Grandmaster Flash and all, all these type of people. It's like a stain on hip hop on its 50th. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I could dig it. I mean, that was one of the things Fat Joe was speaking about in his live, because he was saying there's a museum out there in the Bronx that people want it to be cancelled in a sense because of the association with Africa by bothering one aspect, and he's kind of like, he thinks it's unfair because he's like, every other genre has their Hall of Fame or has their, you got the Rock and
Hall
Roll
of
Hall of
Fame
Fame, you
and
know,
Hall of
uh,
Shame.
yeah. So he feels as though like with hip hop that the community is holding themselves back by wanting to, disassociate with body with that. I mean, how do you see it like that from the culture within hip hop?
In actuality, homie, we slacking on our Mac when it comes to hip hop. And I seen it when we just relied on the Grammys to represent the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Okay, that should just been like a little a speck of a little a pre warm up party for the parties to come. Why only ain't just had one party? You know what I'm saying? That shit didn't represent us. You know what I'm saying? The real shit that people pay attention more to the verses than they did for, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you know we don't got control of it like how we should. Because I know the fact of, LL, you're a real true hip hop head. I'm sure if it was in this control that we would be having more than 150th anniversary of hip hop. As hard as we work, as hard as people that didn't, put their lives on the line and, die for this shit for it to just like come and go. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed like everybody, long as they got they stuff, and that's all they worrying about. But back in the day, the real hip hoppers, the real hip hop people, they gonna make sure. You know what I'm saying? But they not in control of it. So don't nobody really want to put a lot of emphasis in it, and they money and hard earned sweat and tears, and they don't really control it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We're getting a lot of chipping and chopping in and out. Yeah, we're getting some. Hold up, we're getting some interference.
I hear you good. I hear you.
I want to see if I can. me see if I can share this clip. Yeah, so I don't know if you see this. It say how hip hop was invented.
Was that supposed to be the museum?
Yeah.
That shit look watered down.
Yeah, so how hip hop was invented apparently what do you think of that?
Man, that shit look boring. That shit look like you was at like a museum with Basquiat's and all that shit was there. No, it they should have, like, when you go to the museum and they have like the Will Smiths and all that, they should have the Fat Boys. They should have pinnacle groups that changed Run DMC, Ice Cube. That's the type of museum I thought they was having. That shit look crazy. Whatever that was that you showed me.
Well, no, I mean that's not that's not the museum that Fat Joe and I'm talking about. The museum Fat Joe talking about a real museum in the Bronx where he's saying, they got stuff from Dapper Dan and they got, all the, real hip hop stuff. I just thought that clip's interesting because that's a clip that just ironically was making the
That's
rounds
how the
on
people explain what hip hop
Instagram, and
was.
I'm more looked
Yeah,
at it like it's like a revisioning of hip hop that people are trying to do with
they
by
trying to write
showing
their own
stuff like
history.
that at the same time
They trying to
because
write us out. That's what they trying to do. They trying to
yeah,
write
so
us out.
because even if Bambaataa is guilty, and I say myself, and me and you we've had the discussion where I've said I condemn him on those actions if he's guilty, and I feel strongly on that, but in the aspect of like his contribution and stuff within the culture, I won't like disavow that or allow others to make false claim to, be the originators and stuff like that, despite what he allegedly may or may not have done.
First of all, Bambaataa and them is the one who discovered all that bass music and all that shit that Atlanta and you know what I'm saying. They was so Sonic Force. They was the first people with that. I don't know why people be trying to rewrite history. Let them people. He put his contribution in. They don't have no solid proof that this allegation. So I feel like he should still have the shit in there. What's wrong? What's going on? Somebody getting high? Somebody on dope? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of foulness at play, man. So I'd definitely like to know what people think about it, because it's a polarizing situation, and definitely shouts out to Fat Joe for speaking on it because a lot of people from the hip hop world have kind of been quiet on this one.
Right. And Fat Joe definitely has a right to speak. Like culture vulture, he ain't no man. He ain't no culture vulture. He's not. You know what I'm saying? Like Fat Joe been around since I could remember of the hip hop, the '90s era, and all that. And then I'm from the wood, Holmes. So I used to see Fat Joe in our neighborhood in Inglewood when Mac 10 was shooting Thicker Than Water. You know what I mean? I used to see Fat Joe out there in Miami too. You know what I mean? When I go to Miami, so culture vulture. Puerto Ricans ain't nothing but black shit. Shit. At the end of the day, big up to Fat Joe.
Yeah, I know we deal with a lot of segregation and separation within communities, so I feel as though even though we know from like obviously a historical and even a cultural standpoint within hip hop that definitely the Puerto Ricans and Latinos and stuff have their contributions and involvement. and extended a part of the family. But I feel I'm not saying Black Twitter right for everything they say about Fat Joe, because you know his contributions and his part of hip hop, and just growing up within the Bronx and New York and certain places at the time. People are documented, but it's like there is gonna be some people who, because of maybe their experiences that they get with maybe other people from those nationalities,
My phone
because
died. My phone
some of
died.
them you got you got some that be on that gonna embrace and some that probably don't. So it's gonna be the same towards Joe. So hopefully you don't take it like too personally or nothing, which I don't think he does. But yeah, we're gonna wind down on this one. I mean, I think Floss having some technical glitches. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hip Hop Africa Bambaataa, this museum in the Bronx, should it be up there celebrating him as well also? And I don't think it should be halted just due to his alleged crimes and stuff either.